Yeah, it's interesting, and you're pretty consistent when it comes to ERS. I mean, talk to a lot of our new agents. What is the ERS program and why? And I think that's probably what motivates you to really, like, you're not afraid to invest in leads because you know that once you get a sale, you're gonna hit it. And I know some of these policies you wrote this last week were on your own family, right? Which is cool. Okay, but tell us why you like the ERS program.
Well, first off, the ERS one, I call and schedule an appointment for an ERS. They're the easiest appointment to set.
Yeah, so explain what the ERS program is to the new people.
So it's basically a program where, if something were to happen to the person that they're taking out the policy, they can get they can make sure that it's an easier way for them to get the death benefit, but the easier way for them to get a hold of me or the insurance company so it can get paid out.
Yeah, so what we tell the client is that there's over $7.5 billion of unpaid death benefits. And we ask the clients, why do you think that is? And typically they don't know. We tell them it's because the insurance companies don't know that the person died. And they're going, well, really? And it's like, yeah. I mean, because we're not talking, maybe they don't die the next day or the next week, the next month, the next year. You're talking 20 years from now, they might die. No one knows they have a policy. Most people have lost their policy, and no one knows that to put a claim in. All the insurance company knows, right, is that they didn't, the clients stop making payments. So what do? They just send them lapse notices. Hey, your policy is going to lapse, but the person's dead, and their family, they don't know what to do with all these letters. They don't understand it. And so the policy goes unpaid. And so we tell the client, look, it's real important that your beneficiary gets the benefit, right? We ask a question. They say, well, yeah. Okay, well, in order to do that, we have this emergency contact list that we need to put together for you. We need at least 10 names because 1 out of 10, 20 years from now, is going to call us. And what we're going to do, but 20 is better. And what we're going to do is we're going to call each one of these 20 people that let them know that I'm your insurance agent, that they have a policy, that you have a policy with me, and that their job is when you die, they're going to call me and call the insurance company that you passed away so we can get the claims process started. So tell me, who would you like to be on your emergency contact list? And then you put your head down, you get your pen ready, you start writing names down, get their phone numbers, next, who's next, who's next, who's next. And we prefer local people so that they're going to be local to us, local to the client, so they're going to know right away. And at least 1 out of 10 is going to notify us. So it's really a service, right, that we're providing them. And we've had these emergency contact lists activate when someone died. They let the agent or the company know that the person passed away. So it really works out great because it does what we say it's going to do. So legitimately, it is a service to provide them an opportunity to make sure the death benefit gets paid out. And so once you have all the 20 names, then you call each one up. Actually, there is a process. We have training on this, by the way. But we text the client. Like, here's the way that I teach, because so we ask the client, okay, now what I'm going to do with this list is I'm going to notify them and let them know who I am. I'm going to give them my number. I'm going to have them put my number and name in your contact address book, right? So they don't have to be looking up, look me up, because it's already going to be in your contact name. And so the best way to reach out to them is for them to pick up my phone call, right? Joe and Mary, yeah. So here's the easiest way to do it, and this is what I'd recommend. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this text out to them. I'm going to text them and I'm going to text you. And it's going to be coming from you. And it's going to say, hey, Martha, your friend, let's say it's Martha. Hey, Martha, my agent Alex is going to be calling you. He's my insurance agent. Please pick up his phone call. He's going to be calling you from 937-554-2693. He'll let you know why I want him to call you, why he needs to get in touch with you. That's just the general text. And you ask the client, is it okay if I text you and text your client this text? So I can do it, you don't have to. And they'll say, well, yeah, sure. Okay, great. Now, why do we do that? Well, number one, it's in our control to text them. We're not going to ask the client to text them because we're going to ask them to text 20 names and numbers. We're going to take that on ourselves because we're in control. But the cool thing about us texting is that when they receive the text, their friend is going to show up on the text because it's in their address book, their face and their name, and obviously we're texting them because they're going to have it. The only number that they don't know is mine, right? And so when they get this text coming from me, like it's coming from the client, they're going to take it from the client and say, oh, Mary just texted me. They're going to see my number. So I have a chance to, when I call them, they're going to pick up the phone. Okay. And then we have a script on what to say to them. But basically, you're telling the client, then you're asking the client, hey, by the way, I'm going to give them my name and number, have them put it in their address book so they can get a hold of me. But look, if we talk about life insurance to cover them or other products that we offer, is that okay to talk to your friend about those other products? And then they say, yeah, that's fine. So you got their permission, number one. Number two, you got the permission to do all the texting, right? And so now that you've done that, and actually it's better if you take a selfie with your client and then you can text the picture out, right, with your client. That's kind of cool. And so then they know like it's legit, right? So you take a selfie with you and the client and then you text it out. It rocks. And so now you have 20 names from one client to text and then call. So now you just expanded your leads by 20 after taking care of one client. And then bam, you're on your way, man. And then out of those 20 names, you're going to find one or two that's going to want to talk about life insurance. And let's say you found two people. You write two people, insurance. Now you've got 40 names, 20 each, right? So 40 from two out of 40. If you just found, three out of 40, right? That's 60 because three you wrote up times 20 names, that's 60. So do you see how you can leverage the ERS program? And again, it's a legit program to help the client. They're motivated because they want to make sure that their beneficiaries get the benefit. And then you've got leads coming out your ears. Okay. So we've got detailed training on it. And I'll actually, so I think it's at abuyuanfinancial.com/ERS, I believe. Yeah. So if you go to abnfinancial.com/ERS, which stands for Emergency Response System, we've got detailed training on there on how to do it. And I think it's going to benefit y'all. So Michael, I mean, when you think about, you've made money off of ERS, haven't you?
Yes.
Yes. Now, a lot of these other ones, I think you were telling me, you wrote, I think your wife and yourself on policies, but I think you were going to go back to get ERS on this client that you wrote.
Yes. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense because I think I told you this before, like there was a customer where he was thinking about whether he should keep the policy or not. This guy has kept the policy for I would say about 13, 14 months now. And he had second thoughts about not keeping it, but he gave me referrals and he knew I contacted the referrals. So he kind of felt like, I kind of felt like after helping him too, that he felt like it was a great thing and it was solidified it. And sometimes I feel like the psychology of it is he's just like, you know what? He understood the process and he said, you know what? I don't mind helping. I don't mind helping my, like from the consumer side. He doesn't mind helping out his people. He feels like he's got a good product. It solidified everything. So when he thought about it, he said, you know what? He basically came out and said, he said, you know, I referred you 10 people, man. You know, excuse me. You know, and I look at it and it's all in the books.
Yeah. It increases retention for sure. And then there's a good feeling when you let the client know, hey, by the way, I just took care of your friend Martha, and she's really excited that I could help her out. So, you know, kudos to you that you helped your friend out. And so there's a lot of good juju that happens when you let the previous client know that you helped one of their friends. So they have that good feeling about you, that you helped their friend out. And who knows, it could turn into more referrals, which I think has actually happened with you, Michael, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this is why Michael's been ramping up his lead flow. He's not worried about spending money on leads because he knows that once he gets a few clients, he's going to turn those clients into ERSs. I mean, actually, what's interesting, Michael's mentality is that he looks at the lead programs as a temporary means of getting ERS referrals, right, Michael?
Oh yeah, because the ERSs are not like they're not heavily contacted so much. They're not like you're the like I'm not saying this happens to other agents, but they feel like sometimes it's the second or third person they talk to. They don't have that. Like it's just a whole different thing. And then too, when you're setting the appointment with them, they understand that they're getting information. And then in some cases, like the appointment that I'm doing with them over a Zoom. So then I share my screen, I see the information that I'm gonna send them, and you know, then I try to get them to ask me questions so they can find out about how much stuff costs. I try to ask them, do they want to like protect anybody? Is there anyone? Do they have any kids? I get to find out a little bit more information about them. Now, I will say I hate to go too into depth about it, but I will say sometimes they're like, you know what? I just want the information and that's it. And I kind of like I circle back with them sometimes and I let them know like, hey, I could just give you the information and stuff like that, but when you wouldn't want me to sell you short, would you? And then so obviously they say, oh no, okay. So then that kind of slows it down. I kind of go through the companies we represent. I get our name out there. It's actually a pretty cool thing. And then I, you know, and I get as much information as I can, and then it could potentially turn into something, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I think that so what Michael really to reemphasize, they're not like other leads where they get bombarded by agents that had that lead, you know, a year ago, 6 months ago, and 3 months ago, where everyone says, take me off your list. You know, they're not yelling at you because these people were referrals from their friend, ERS contact referrals. So no one's calling them. Typically, no one's calling them. You're not competing against all these other agents. You're not going into it because they didn't send anything into anybody. They are just people on a list. And they may not already be looking, but you know what, Michael, how many times, I mean, you run into people, it's like, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I really do need something. And it's almost like opportunity and preparedness had come together. And so the appointments are super easy. The phone calls, you're not going to get slammed on the phone, people yelling at you, because it's not a lead per se. It's not like one of our regular leads. So, you know, the ERS calls are about the easiest you could ever make. So if you've got call reluctance, you definitely have zero call reluctance, right? Because they got a text with a picture of you and their friend,
right?
Like it's coming from their friend, and they read it and it's like, oh, well, yeah, they're much more open. So,
and then when you send the actual text message out, and you'll get some pressure on how come you haven't called me. You get some pressure from them.
Oh, so when you don't get
Yeah.
to them right away, they're
Exactly.
waiting for you to call, right?
Right. Absolutely. And then too, like sometimes, like it just depends. Like on the ones that you've seen them in person, um, like I send everything from their text message so they know, and then stuff from my text message later that they know I'm texting. But like anything that is like digital or anything like that, I let them know that whoever I wrote the policy on is CC'd in on this text message, and they can repeat, they can see it. So like, I think that's very helpful too. So it's just that sometimes, like if it's not, I've noticed that like when I was trying to do it before, and I got the ERSs, sometimes the people that you got that you're calling your emergency response system, basically they can, if they're not if the other person's not copied in where he can kind of see, he can kind of catch the other person off guard, and they can make them feel like, wait a second, what look, you know what, I don't want that policy, because they think it's like some type of scam or something like that. I have noticed that. So that's why I always, like, when I send a text message and it's digital and I couldn't do it from their phone, I make sure that they're CC'd in, and I let them know on the text message that they're CC'd in on the text message, so there's no disconnect there. I think that is like so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, good job, dude. Proud of you, man. You're kicking butt, and keep doing it. Michael works full time at Verizon. So, and he's one of their top salespeople there. So they're always asking him to come in and, spend time. And Michael's, trying to extract himself, and he sees his business as a really great opportunity to be able to do that. So that's awesome, man. Good job.